and I want to thank you, our judges. I'll do a quick introduction. Sean Kelly from ENTCO, Paul Ganger from EMCO, Joanne Fisher, Scotiabank, Jill Hobbs from the College of Agriculture and Bioresources, Dominic Thibodeau from Federated Cooperatives Limited, and Jacqueline Cook from Vendesta. Competitors, you have 23 minutes to do your presentation today. Immediately following the presentation, we ask that you exit. I will be your timekeeper for today. It will start at the first time that you speak. At 5 minutes, the first 5 minutes are protected time. There will be no questions from the judges at that time. At 5 minutes, I will knock, show an unprotected time card. At that time, the judges can start asking questions. At 20 minutes, I will knock again, and a protected time card will be shown. At that time, there'll be no more questions. You will have 3 minutes to complete your presentation. I will give you cards at 2 minutes, 1 minute, and 30 seconds, so that you know where you're at in your presentation. Audience, there's no questions, comments, cell phones, or picture taking during the presentation. Please ensure that your cell phones are off or on vibrate. We will also ask the audience to hold their applause to the end of the presentation. At the end of the presentation, we need the audience to exit as quickly as possible. This allows our judges some time to have a conversation and to be able to do their scorecards, which allows us to maintain an on-time schedule. Team, I need to confirm that you're Team I. Judges, Team I. When you're ready.
$70,000 minutes, 1,166 hours, 146 working days, $34,940 of waste that is being created over the next 5 years by every single contractor that is currently supplied by EMCO. This is waste that we plan to change to prosperity, and that's why we're here today.
Good afternoon, Mr. Arnold and senior executives. We'd first and foremost like to thank you for the information you've provided us. We've done some thorough analysis, and we've come up with an opportunity. Fluid, an alternative distribution channel utilizing crowdsourced drivers to get your products out to customers. I'll now let Graham walk you through the logic behind Fluid.
Thank you. Mr. Arnold, not that long ago, you came to us with resources, with information, and said, make some meaning out of this. Find us an opportunity. The opportunity we've come to realize today relies on your core strengths at EMCO, as well as the industry we plan on starting in, with numerous government incentives looking to improve the development and facilitate the development of new builds in Saskatchewan. We plan on capitalizing this through your capabilities.
So, what we can provide you, EMCO, what we can do as a whole, we can benefit EMCO through a driving sales force. We can increase your sales a drastic amount simply by providing you with satisfied contractors. So, what do we actually do? We're an alternate way of distributing your product to contractors. We utilize our crowdsourced drivers to deliver the product straight to the contractors. Furthermore, this service prevents contractors, in turn, having to venture out to your store location to actually purchase the product on their time, on their working time, on their schedules, the projects that they're working on for government housing, for low-income families that need the housing urgently. So in turn, contractors are more able to directly focus on the work that they're doing and actually put in their work and time effectively and efficiently. I'll now pass it on to Nick to go over business.
Thank you, Jenny. So now briefly on the business model here. Like Jenny described, our pitch here, our project that we want you to implement with EMCO is essentially an Uber-based model, but for delivery of goods. What we hope to do, what we hope to capitalize for revenue, in fact, is something that actually differs from that model. So instead of actually collecting money through a delivery charge, because Uber obviously does passengers, we are hoping to do this delivery on cost, and we're hoping to collect money through an increase of sales due to the customer satisfaction that we'll be creating through this project. So because of the convenience that we create, the value it creates, like Jenny mentioned, we know that, that customers will be able to experience higher customer satisfaction, which we've seen as a key metric for the home development industry. In terms of the cost that we expect obviously some high initial costs in terms of the IT architecture and development. However, Graham, your assistant manager in the IT department, is experienced with this and will be able to help us reduce this cost through his own development. We also expect some marketing costs, as well as obviously the delivery fees. So because we are doing crowdsourced driving, we'll be paying the drivers a certain amount for each delivery based on the distance they travel, and we'll be expecting to pay them obviously for the delivery fee. So walking through the timeline here, we've segmented our timeline into 3 main portions. So phase 1, which is a 2-week plan, it starts today and it ends October 15, 2015. We expect the biggest thing here is the development of the content for the National Support Center conference happening in just a few weeks. So we understand that you want to deliver a project. We've hopefully that you'll be delivering fluid at this conference to the National Support Center. And we hope that we can develop this content in the next 2 weeks to really secure the financials, the logistics, and everything around fluid so that you can develop a successful project and that EMCO can really get on board with this. In phase 2, the main portion in phase 2 is actually the main portion of phase 2 is actually developing this project to make sure that it works and doing the testing. So this is a 3-month plan that ends January 16th, 2016. In this 3-month plan, we expect to do the IT development. So Graham will be helping to develop the website. We'll also be developing the IT infrastructure and potentially contracting out any additional services that need to be developed on the IT infrastructure side. Along with phase 2, we also plan to start the sourcing of drivers. So we'll be doing this through job sites as well as jobs postings in the local area. In phase 3, the 1-year plan from January 17, 2016 to 2017, we're actually hoping to be operational in the test market, which is the province of Saskatchewan. Obviously, in the long term, we do expand to various provinces, all the provinces that EMCO services. But in this first year, we're planning on operating solely in Saskatchewan, using that as a test market to make sure that fluid runs successfully. So over some risks. We've identified 2 key risks with this venture. The first one is that not able to source drivers. So as we can see on this little table here, we have developed the likelihood of this is actually low, considering the fact that unemployment in Saskatchewan is a little higher than the national average. We expect that those unemployed people will be a significant portion of the drivers that will be will help fluid run. The impact of that would be high, obviously, but we have mitigated it in the fact that we'll be looking for drivers through the driver community that exists, as well as the postings we said, as well as the low adoption rate, which we mentioned. The likelihood of that is also low based on the fact that we'll be utilizing EMCO current distribution channels, marketing plans to get as well as a communication plan to make sure that the PCs, the profit centers, are on board with this through all of the hierarchical communication through regional managers as well.
How are you going to ensure that your drivers have the right, vehicle to bring the product to these contractors, i.e. someone orders 100 pieces that is larger than what a car can take? For sure. How do you ensure that actually works out?
So the majority of orders that we actually have our entire model based off of are smaller orders where it was actually a figure in the information you provided for us. Often contractors are running to your suppliers on average twice a day to go and find parts that they might need and that might be slowing down the development. So throughout this time when they would normally be going and visiting the supplier, they're able to continue working, and we're able to provide a delivery personnel to provide them with the part. We don't anticipate this being the majority of orders. Obviously, the majority of your orders will still be taking place through the traditional channels. However, It's these additional pieces that might have been lost, forgotten, not considered, or potentially damaged pieces that need to be replaced that we're going to be providing to the contractors at the work sites.
So how does the contractor at the work site interface? Number one, are you piggybacking off of our website, creating a new website, and they're on the job site, do they need to be at their computer to access, or how's that work?
So in terms of the IT infrastructure, we've identified the middle one that you said there. So actually piggybacking on the EMCO website, we'll be able to create essentially a platform through the EMCO website to allow for the delivery service. And that'll be something that Graham will be able to walk through the IT-wise. As well, for the contractor side, they'll be able to access this through a mobile platform. So this will be looking like an app development, which we'll be testing in the first year. And seeing how that gets back with feedback of contractors. We want to make it as easy as that as well. In the information that you provided us, it did say that contractors like to use the easiest form of connection to EMCO. So that's through the mobile platform that we've identified, and we hope that the contractors will be able to use this well.
So are the contractors paying the delivery, or how does that work?
Yeah, so there will be a delivery fee associated with of course receiving parts. However, there's a few things to keep in mind with this. So one, it'll be far less than paying a contractor or potentially one of their employees to go and pick up a part. And second of all, we're going to be providing this to them at cost so that we can be a leader in terms of customer service, because we know that's a driver of how contractors pick their supplier networks. So we hope to improve essentially the customer service to the point of increasing sales, and that's where you'll see the return on your investment, as opposed to from the delivery fees. We plan to offer that at cost.
Do you have any revenue projections based on this new technology?
Yes, we do. Nick, could you take me to so as you can see, we've estimated the current sales of EMCO based off of, first of all, the figures you provided in terms of the percentage that are contract. So the majority of EMCO's sales come from contractors. This is known, so we use approximately 51% as the most conservative figure to evaluate approximately what EMCO's current sales would be. At approximately $10,000, so similar to some competitors in terms of what you need to actually get contractor status and the associated discounts with that at your competitors. So at $10,000 times the $15,300, which is 51% of the 30,000 customers that EMCO currently services, we projected the sales of EMCO to be approximately $154 million.
It's a national number?
Yes.
Estimation?
Yes. So based off this estimation, because we do plan on scaling this out throughout Canada, as you can see, there's a very low adoption rate, as well as increase in percentage of sales to indicate that, because we are going to be starting in Saskatchewan. So based on that figure of $154 million, we're hoping to increase sales by 1% in the years that we're operating. So in year one, as Nick's explained through the phases, we don't plan on incurring or generating too much revenue. However, in following years, the increase in sales or increase in revenue is indicated in the total revenue line, and that's in addition of the delivery fees that we're going to be charging to the contractors, as well as the increase in sales at our forecasted level of 3% each year.
How did you get the delivery fee? What is that a percentage of? How did you get that delivery fee number?
So the delivery fees are based off of our expenses. Because we're planning on offering this service at cost, we can assume that the delivery fees will be equal to the total expenses associated with this project. So as you can see in year one, we're hoping to incur about $630,000 in expenses. So we're going to be hoping to ask from you today approximately $1 million to get this project off the ground, leaving us a lot of runway in order for you to launch this national distribution plan.
What's the payback period?
So the payback period will actually be in the second year, as you can see, because the because after that we'll be operating at cost. So there won't be any new additional expenses that won't be covered by the delivery fees. And then based on that and the increase in sales, you should be seeing profits of approximately $4 million in the second year. Based off of this, you'll be able to reap rewards on your investment almost immediately once it's in place.
So the network of drivers, are they also in a different context architects contractors, or are they employees now of EMCO? Am I going to have to go hire a bunch of new people on payroll?
Thank you for your question. I can speak to that. So our crowdsourced drivers, they're basically for on-demand. So we also provide the application forefront for them to see what's available, what contractors need what, and the timing of their order that they need these parts there. So with that, in case, we pay by delivery, per delivery. So the time it takes to take the product from EMCO out to the contractor's location, and then that's when the payment will be processed.
How many deliveries do you see happening per year, per month? Like your delivery costs are staggeringly high the second year. So how many deliveries is that?
For sure. Now, can you take me to the appendix? So this is a breakdown of the revenue, and additionally, so some of the expenses associated with that, because they are dependent. So the quantity of customers, as you can see, is 15,300 or 300. This is based off of the 51% of 51% of EMCO's customers, since we do know the majority are contractors, and that is the most conservative figure. So assuming a 1% adoption rate, there's going to be 153 customers that are requiring deliveries each day in essentially the first year. Based off of an approximate 1 delivery per day per customer, which is actually lower than you indicated to us. You indicated that there were approximately twice a day that contractors were running out to suppliers. So based on that figure and the amount of working days in a year, we got the quantity of trips that is going to be required. So the delivery fee is essentially the quantity, or the delivery fees is essentially the average price per trip multiplied by the quantity of trips per year, because we are operating at cost. Does that answer your question? Okay.
Can we come back to the delivery fee again? So you've got an average price per trip.
Yes.
And how did you, yeah.
So the average price per trip is essentially the associated expenses of fluid. So all the expenses you're going to be incurring by implementing fluid divided by the quantity of trips, because we're going to be operating at cost and providing it to the contractors at cost. So essentially the average price per trip and then the revenue per trip is going to be equivalent, because we're
I
offering.
guess what I'm thinking is some trips might be within the city, and some
Yes.
trips might be 3 hours outside.
Mhm.
So
Who sets that price, the driver, or
So-
is it variable?
So the price it'll have to be researched what an appropriate figure would be. We're assuming it'll probably be slightly less than the cab fare, because we're going to be using the crowdsourced model, but we're going to have to look into that more. Again, I'd like to stress that the financials, because we're operating at cost and it's a proven business model, if you look at many of the crowdsourcing options, are not the real stressor here. The real thing we would like to stress is that we're going to be providing tons of value to your contractors by allowing them to stay on the site and not have to leave to go pick up these parts. This is value and this is waste currently. So often contractors aren't able to proceed with development because they're waiting on a part.
What are some of the risks that you see with this?
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the risks we identified in the presentation are the ones that we've identified as the key risks in this project. We haven't actually gone further and identified other risks to this venture, but it's something that we'll definitely be doing in the research and testing phase.
Mm-hmm.
So if this is a freight, if I'm understanding this correctly, will this replace my existing trucks and freight delivery service?
Not at all, no. So you're going to be distributing through the same channels you currently are. Where this will change and where you'll see change is contractors will no longer be coming to the profit centers or the distribution centers to pick up the parts that they're missing or don't have at the work sites. We're simply going to be offering a connection between currently unemployed people or people who are looking to earn extra income and their vehicle and your parts to provide it to the contractors within your network.
Now, you're saying you're doing it at cost,
Yes.
right? So, and the customer's gonna bear that cost.
Yes.
So it's increased, well, okay, got it.
So currently, customers are already incurring the cost due to the delays in development, or potentially the wages that they'd have to pay someone else to go and pick up the parts. So we actually see this as a savings for them, and this is why we really believe it can be a win for the customer, the people who we're going to be you'll employ through this, as well as EMCO through the increase in profits. So we really believe this is going to increase overall prosperity throughout its entire implementation.
How long are we piloting this for to determine whether it's a win or not, before we roll it out to anywhere else?
Yeah, so our timeline, in that first 3 months, in phase 2 of the timeline, so after phase 1, which is 2 weeks, and after phase 2, which is 3 months, that'll be 3 months, 2 weeks, and that'll be the kind of phase to make sure that we know it's feasible, we can do the final tests and logistics. After that phase, assuming that it is feasible, and when we are fully confident that it is, we'll have a year of testing in the Saskatchewan market, and then from there we can expand across to various provinces or regions that EMCO services.
So when the contractors come into my showroom, there's a great opportunity to kind of upsell them to other products and services. And without that touch point, I might lose some of that marketability. How do you address that by not having them come into the showroom as often?
I can answer that. Thank you for your question. So the basis of Fluid is to provide an alternate means of distribution. So we are not simply taking out the already trucking or the already delivery, the prior delivery service that EMCO does have in place in terms of delivering the full load of product. We're rather providing a service where if there's something missing, if something is damaged, or something else is critical to the operations of developing a house, building real estate, whatever you need be, we're providing an alternate means of getting the product quicker to you rather than you having to venture out into town to grab the product to come all the way back. So we are not cutting off that connection between you or between the contractor and EMCO themselves. There's still that initial connection and relationship building in order to kind of determine what the contractor actually needs and what else needs to be in place for the development of their real estate or such.
So I'd just like to touch more a little bit about the test market, which you inquired about earlier, and kind of that phase. So we are choosing to launch this in Saskatchewan because of the numerous government incentives that we've seen. Nick, if you could take me to the opportunity slide, we can just go over a few of the incentives that the government is providing and why we believe this is really feasible, and we're expecting to see the same kind of figures in sales, and why such a consistency in terms of the forecast. So currently, there's steady growth of new builds, and it's expected to remain steady through to the end of 2020. This is approximately 8,838 per year. This is an average of the past 3 years of new developments in Saskatchewan. And so based on these figures and the incentives in terms of Head Start on a Home and the other government programs that are being implemented in Saskatchewan, we know that the test market is ready for Fluid and ready for EMCO's increase in customer service.
So just to reiterate today, for EMCO, what we can do for you is we can provide you with 2 extreme benefits. We can provide you with an increase in sales, as well as the second benefit of having a more satisfied contractor base.
Based on a straightforward, realistic, and profitable business model, we're quite confident we can meet these financial goals. And again, we want to thank you for the opportunity to have us speak today. I'll pass on to Graham to quickly conclude.
Thanks, Nick. So again, just touching on the proven business model, and we are hoping to ask and secure $1 million today to launch Fluid off the ground and begin providing your customers with the best level of customer service. Thank you very much for your time.